So I have selected here India's top selling smartwatches which you can get under rupees 5000, and I have selected these brands on the basis of their top ratings and great reviews. And these brands are Noise ColorFit Ultra 2, Boltt Xtend, Amazfit GTS 2 Mini new version, and Fire-Boltt Thunder. I have done here a 10,000 steps walk to check the accuracy of all the watches, and I'll be comparing them with the data of Apple Watch, which is the industry leader in the segment of smartwatches. So before doing the 10,000 steps, you can see the actual number of steps, and after doing 10,000 steps also, you can see the final result here. And here we'll be comparing it with the Apple Watch data. So you can see here the final result of all the watches in the table below. So if I talk about step count and distance travel, almost all watches perform quite similar as the Apple Watch. But if I talk about the calorie count here, Amazfit and Fire-Boltt calorie count was slightly different than all other watches, which is slightly found less accurate. So let's start our next test here. So in this test, I'll be checking the heart rate sensor and the blood oxygen sensor for all the watches. And here also I'll be comparing them with the Apple Watch. So firstly, we have checked here the heart rate sensor of Apple Watch. And immediately after that, we checked the heart rate sensor for all other watches as well. And you can see here almost all the watches performed quite similar with the data of Apple Watch. And after that, we also checked the blood oxygen level for all the watches. And even here also, all the watches performed quite similar as compared to Apple Watch. So the next test here is going to be quite interesting as it's a water drop test. Because with all these watches, you get really good standards of water resistance. So let's start the test. So you can see here, even after staying in water for 30 minutes, all these watches are working perfectly and are completely safe to use under rain or any water condition. And here I have done a sleep tracking test as well by wearing all the watches together, and you can see the results here. So you can see here in Noise, Boltt and Fire-Boltt, the sleep analysis was quite detailed and I felt it was quite accurate as well. But if I talk about Amazfit here, I didn't find the sleep tracking data quite detailed, and comparatively it was slightly less accurate as well. So its overall performance was quite average. And if I talk about the battery life here, so with Amazfit you get the maximum battery life, which is around 14 days. And after that with Fire-Boltt also, you get around 10 days of battery backup. And finally, if I talk about Noise and Boltt, you get around 7 days of battery backup, and which is also a decent backup. And if I talk about the charging time here, it almost takes around 2 hours to charge all these watches up to 100%. And coming to the calling feature here, you get the call notification and cut option with all the watches here. But if I talk about Noise and Amazfit, you also get an option of call silence and call quick reply, which I found quite handy. And finally, if I talk about the Fire-Boltt here, you can even pick the call and directly talk from your watch. And even we checked the sound clarity while talking, and it was also quite good. And if I talk about the app notifications here, so that feature also you get in all the watches. But if I talk about the Noise and Boltt here, you get notification option from a limited set of apps, but it covers more or less all the major apps. And with all these watches here, you get a metal build quality which gives a very premium look to all the watches. Even the screen size of all the watches here is quite similar. And if I talk about the dial thickness here, so with Amazfit you get very slim and sleek dial thickness, which will even suit if you have a smaller wrist size. But here Fire-Boltt's dial thickness is slightly thicker, but it looks quite sporty. So with Noise, Amazfit and Fire-Boltt, you get an AMOLED screen, and the clarity of these screens is very sharp and vibrant. But if I talk about Boltt here, you get only a LCD display whose clarity I found slightly average. And if I talk about always on display, you get that option only with Noise and Amazfit smartwatch, and that can be an important criteria for a lot of people. So let's talk about the final results here. So after all this detailed testing and comparison, and you can see here the final results table. So my first recommendation here would be Noise ColorFit Ultra 2 because it performed very well in almost all the tests. And my second recommendation here would be Amazfit GTS 2 Mini because it also performed quite good in almost all the tests. And my final recommendation here would be a Fire-Boltt Thunder. But the UI and touch response of this watch was slightly average. So to watch more videos with the interesting tests and detailed comparisons, don't forget to subscribe our channel. So thank you for now. I'll see you in the next video.